setting up all the plays that they made.
Valiantly, may I add.
Yeah, no, it was a scene straight out of Gladiator. They're fighting the Pantheon. Yeah, no, it was super cool. And unfortunately for Shopify, they've got a lot to fix coming into game number 2 here. Obviously, you can look back to the priority of the bottom lane in game number 1, the Ashe Seraphine having to push, Jose just saying, all right, I'm clearing one of my quadrants, and now I'm clearing yours.
Yep.
And then he just had his boys behind him, and they wreaked havoc through that bottom side jungle. Shopify's got to have an answer for it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if they can. But before we lock back in for this game, did you watch that content piece, by the way, from TL? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen the full version.
So the title is 20 Redditors versus 1 Rioter. And I just love that CoreJJ and Ryze and people like this are just lumped in as Redditors.
Yeah, it's like Cubby's there, CoreJJ, like
Ryze is there.
Ryze is my favorite Redditor.
There. Yeah, Ryze, okay, you can have a pass. CoreJJ being a Redditor is great. It's just Redditor.
He's literally one world.
It's a really good video, by the way. Check it out. So shout out to TL. But locking in, all right. Game 2, Shopify, the previously undefeated team.
Right.
No longer undefeated.
They have joined the rest of mortal men as they will select first pick here in this second game. So Team Liquid's going to go for the blue side. It's Orianna, Karma, and Varus banned out by TL. Over on the other side, Anivia, Rumble, and Nautilus banned out by Shopify. Remember in game number 1...
They want Ryze, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, right?
Well, that's my guess, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say in game number 1, they prioritized the Pantheon. They wanted to have that early jungle power, the extra semi-global authority of the ultimate to make the plays, but they just fell behind early and they never really found success with it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Oh, interesting. So they're going to go Azir. I feel like the Anivia ban is a little bit surprising when you're looking for the Azir. You know, generally that is used as an answer into Ryze and quite a strong one. It can just be compositionally difficult to play against, but Azir is not one of the champions that I feel like struggles into the Anivia, so that ban is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Maybe they're going to go, the rest of their comp is going to be more short range or something.
Yeah, whenever I see Anivia, I think you want to be able to get value out of the wall. You want to be playing against something that does not have inbuilt mobility. But if Anivia throws up her wall behind you, you're just shifting sand over it, and it's like, okay, bye.
Yep. So it's interesting, but maybe that will make more sense as the rest of the draft goes. The others are just kind of like more inbuilt strong picks. The Nautilus ban does make me wonder if they are going to be going in towards, like a Lulu Yunara or something like that, like a vulnerable enchanter that you don't want to get engaged on, maybe a Karma, maybe a Lulu. Hovering over a bunch of different kind of known counters to the Azir. I don't know that we're going to actually get something that's spicy.
Yeah, I'm not taking the bait.
Yeah. And so it is just going to be the Ryze at the end of the day.
My favorite spice, flour.
It's like when you go to Germany and someone tells you this place is really spicy. They have salt on their food.
Yeah, it's just like it's potato.
It's an uncooked potato with some salt. Some spicy German food. All right. I think
sorry to the German viewers out there. We're not saying it's bad. It still
wonderful
tastes good,
people,
but
horrible food.
Well, back on the Shopify side, they're going to go ahead, lock in Ezreal and Neeko for themselves. So pretty powerful lane here with some solid range. Really just depends on how many of those skill shots are you going to hit, whoever you're trading in.
So not going to be the Karma. I was thinking it would be just Ezreal Karma, or like I said, Yunara
Karma
Lulu.
did get banned again.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, of course. I was thinking it was going to be an Enchanter in general, I should say, with that Nautilus ban. But I guess because the Karma then got banned on the other side, they just go for the backup Karma, the Neeko. So the Karma Ezreal, Neeko Ezreal, exactly. Someone who can work out there. The Jayce is interesting because it is a blind Jayce top. So you are likely to need some protection bans. Whether or not they are giving the respect over to Fudge that he would be willing to play some of the difficult matchups, I don't know. But they are going to be banning out Sion. So Sion, Aurelia is more of the kind of like the spicy counter, but a lot of people will go towards Sion and you kind of just like tank through some of the early levels. Some people do just like building a lot of armor against it. You just go for a tank, you look to outscale, and I feel like that would be an option that Fudge would go towards. I don't know that TL would ban Aurelia because I don't think that Fudge would play it.
Yeah, probably not. Blind Jayce is definitely a more audacious, a more daring choice. However, Morgan has the #1 important thing for locking that in. Korean passport.
Yeah. Passport check.
Yep, we checked the passport. Yep, that's the Korean
all right,
flag.
buddy. You can come in.
We're doing all right. Okay, lock the Jayce. Let's
Hold your
lock it
horses
in.
there on that Jayce blind pick. Where are you from? All right. Okay.
All right, yeah, sure.
Fair enough.
This will pass.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some bottom lane bans coming out from Shopify. They want to ban out that Bard, which can be one of the stronger laners to deal with things like Ezreal and Neeko. They'll also ban out the Sivir. We'll have the Sion and Vi removed from the table by Team Liquid. Now, how do they want to go about this bottom lane? They already know what they're up against.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that normally this server I don't always buy into, but Yeon and Core definitely do like going for Kalista lanes, really aggressive lanes and trying to actually punish. I don't think that you would have the best time in the 2v2, so that's kind of my only question on if they're going to go for it. And instead, they're going to go towards the Xayah, which is kind of interesting because Xayah isn't generally considered a champion that is great into range. Generally, you are really good at absorbing hard engage, right? And so when people are showing Vi and when they're showing Ahri and when they're showing these types of champs, that's generally when you see it. But on the other side, we have Ezreal plus Neeko. Yeah, Neeko can engage, but like their 2v2 is about poke, right?
Yeah.
And Azir is pretty long range and low commitment. Oh, we got the Garen as the answer. That is actually pretty spicy. So I mean, egg on my face, I said he wouldn't go for a more kind of spicy answer, but he is going in towards the Garen. This is going to be pretty interesting. So I'm expecting it to be like Stridebreaker Rush. If you can survive the early levels, I think these kind of matchups can become quite good into the Jayce. I do think the early levels can be quite difficult. If you get too far behind, you never actually get the ability to look for all-ins. But Garen has a very powerful post-level 6 all-in. Jayce doesn't really get anything from 6, so if you can kind of live till that point, you can start threatening. Your wave clear gets really, really powerful. So my question really is, how do you do in the early levels? I do think the Poppy feels a little bit out of left field, but I think it's kind of with the assumption that we are going to have hard engage as the support option here for core, and it looks like with champs like going down, we must have some sort of issue.
Yep, I was just told by producers one of the most depressing things I have ever heard in my entire life. The Garen lock-in was accidental and is instead supposed to be Cassante. I had a couple different pages that I would use, like one for more MR, like one for a little bit more scaling, that type of stuff. But yeah, now that it's just, you can change whatever, I just find it way easier between remembering like what every page is. No, just change it.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it prevents you from being a dummy and accidentally forgetting to change. If you're always setting your brain in motion to be like, no, I've got to double check my runes.
Exactly. Which is what makes it even better. When you check your runes, you set your runes, and then you load into the game, and it didn't change your runes.
What are my runes? Hold on.
Get in, you're like, all right, going in, we're going to play some Cassante here. And I have Spellbook.
Like, what am I going to do?
Okay.
With it?
Melee versus melee matchup.
I always love the ones. My favorite, what is happening with this rune, is Kayn. Because I'll see people like play a game and it's like, this is the most obvious blue Kayn game of all time. Entire enemy team is just all squishy champions. One shot literally anyone, loads into the game with Conqueror. And I'm like, brother, if we're playing blue Kayn, it's never going to activate. Like, there's no way this is the intended
You get one spell and then they are dead.
Yeah, it's like
2 stacks of Conqueror.
Fantastic. You look at the tooltip at the end of the game, it's like total damage healed 84. Like, what?
All right, we're getting Poppy. Maybe just goes for the Garen again,
Okay, if he goes for Garen again, he's going to jail. Like, that's...
You know what? I would give him a pass. Because it would mean we had to rewatch the draft, but we didn't have to watch Game of Cassante.
Okay, all right. But then do you reward the behavior of remaking the game to just make the same game again? You're setting dangerous precedent here.
Only if it's for a cool champ. You'll get a pass,
Champ coolness validates whether or not you can get away.
It's a good life lesson because life isn't fair, And if people like you, you're going to get away with
crime.
Exactly. You totally get away with crimes. Let's be honest here. It's like when someone really good looking is like, everyone's so nice here.
It's just like, wow, everybody's just so kind.
Everyone's just so kind. That's crazy. Life is great.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Not Cassante. No one wants to see Cassante, and no one wants to see Ryze.
Yeah, Ryze. Especially after we got to see I love seeing stuff like Anivia in the game. Anivia's cool.
There you go.
Ryze is
bird. Shoots out balls of ice.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Not something you see every day.
Ryze is something you see every day.
Crazy blue people. That's just a day in LA.
I do love
They're on the street. You're seeing them everywhere.
To be fair, a lot of the Ryze mains do act like that. The Ryze community is one of my favorite communities in all of League of Legends, because you would think that people that play a mage that's, you know, kind of like one of the main characters in the overarching story of the game would be pretty rooted, grounded, logical people, but it's all just the most insane people you've ever met in your whole life, spamming EQ to each other like some sort of strange, bizarre Morse code. I love Ryze players.
I kind of respect it.
They're completely crazy. You never know what you're gonna get.
You know, when people really commit to it, at first you're like, "Come on, bro, this is kind of weird. What are you doing?" And then they keep going, and you're like, "I don't know if it's a joke anymore, but I'm starting to think it is one." And they kind of, you know, goes full circle. It's like when you're watching a really bad movie, it can be pretty enjoyable. But if you're just watching like a mediocre bad movie,
right,
that's trash.
It
you
needs
gotta turn
to be
that
a 1
off.
out of 10. Like
exactly.
It needs to be so bad that it goes back to being entertaining.
It goes around in the circle, you know?
It's
like with those ELO graph memes, you know, with Iron and Challenger, and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But then the person in gold in the middle is like, no.
Yeah, the Iron and Challenger
that.
guys are both just vibing.
Yep.
You know, I one time saw, I think it was actually on one of the Ryze rework like YouTube videos on the official Riot channels, and there was a guy talking about how his wife is going to divorce him because he played too much Ryze, and now he just says EQ out loud, and she doesn't understand what's going on. So he's just fully embracing it and painting himself blue. I'm like, what are these people talking about?
This is the kind of conversations we have to have after a game like that, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a champ select delay. It's not a super spicy early game. We're just enjoying our time here on Summoner's Rift in the early levels, but Shopify at least have pushed down here in bottom lane this game. Again, going back to game number 1, looking at how things fell apart so rapidly, bottom lane control was a huge part of it. So Bvoy and Sayos being able to breathe in this early lane has got to be a relief compared to the last one.
Breathing is a positive for sure. Another positive, FBI, who was on pros, was talking up Quid, saying he thinks he's the best mid laner in the league, that he's always creating a lot of pressure by himself. And that is something that is so valuable, because there are different tiers of players. I mean, there's like the players that obviously are going to struggle on their own. There's players that with some assistance, when they get a lead, they can really kind of, you know, generate some pressure and do a really good job. And then there's the really special players, which to me are the players that don't need any sort of resources, and they can just create advantages. And that is so valuable and so nice to have when you are a jungler and you just know this lane is just going to win, right?
I can rely on this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's just going to do well. And if he's already getting an advantage by himself without any help, then heck, that's someone you want to actually go and give resources to a lot as well, because you know they're going to be able to make the most of that advantage. So Quid definitely considered to be, you know, one of, if not the best mid laner in the league, despite the lock-in not going his way, or not going the way he would have wanted, I should say.
So let's check in here on this top side matchup, as Morgan has the lane control that you would expect early on. Jayce bullies pretty much everybody that's not Jayce. That's the name of the game. So Fudge's job is just to survive and farm, but Josedeodo does not want to allow that to happen. He's going to show up here, but they don't want to full commit to any dive. K'Sante, notoriously one of the most difficult to dive champions that there is, can very often turn these types of plays around. But considering Jose showed up, Contractz is now looking for opportunity down here in the bottom half of the map, but the wave is not in the right position here just yet.
Yeah, it's taking too long to actually get it in, so I think he is worried that it would be able to be responded to. Like just now is the wave crashing. Yes, the Jarvan is still pretty far away, but not going to decide to risk it there. And I think if Fudge had wasted his Pathmaker, I think you maybe go for that dive. But if you try to EQ in on him as Jose, he's just going to Pathmaker. Not only are you not going to knock him up, he's going to stun you under the tower with you having aggro, right? And then that is a recipe for a free failed dive. So Fudge able to survive that, no problem. But at the same time, you know, that allowed Morgan to be hitting the tower. So Morgan got an early plate. He does have a nice little CS advantage here on the top side and might be looking for a kill.
Yeah, Fudge down to 100 HP. Has to be mindful of what's going on here. Contractz does show up around the area just to make sure that Morgan's not going to find himself a 4.5-minute solo kill. So Fudge will go ahead, take his recall. Morgan is going to do the exact same, but Quid now has Jose right next to him over here in the mid lane. Zenie is under some pressure. Over the wall goes Jose, and the flash is forced out of the Emperor as Zenie has to spend that summoner spell defensively. Going to take away some of his playmaking potential here as CoreJJ jumps in for the grand entrance, going in after Bvoy, forces that flash as well. Contractz also forced to flash. Flash after flash after flash after flash forced out of Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, that is a lot of resources gone there for Shopify. Zenie tried to kind of take the aggressive trade, just shifted in on Quid. I'm assuming he didn't have eyes on Jose, but as soon as then you see Jose showing up, you've got a flash, and that is a little bit tough for him. Of course, it is still very close as far as the gold is concerned, and Fudge now back from base with a lot of armor, as you are going to need here into Morgan. And Morgan just picks up the tier and does have a serrated Dirk, so some early power for him, going to be scaling up. And it'll be interesting to see if he's building more for that side lane, building like Cleaver and an armor pen, or if he is going to be going, more just pure glass cannon, looking for the poke onto some of these squishy characters.
Well, I feel like the problem is if you're just pure glass cannon, you do have both the Cassante and the Poppy who will be more than happy to spam a ton of armor and just sort of eat those shock blasts for you. So if Fudge and Contractz are doing their jobs, it should be pretty difficult for Morgan to be able to land a lot of those big hits.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting, right? Because he went grass. Grass is just a strong laning rune.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't scale as well as something like Conqueror for the 1v1, but still, very powerful for the early laning phase. And, sometimes we used to see people going, especially when Bruiser Jayce was really popular, we'd see a lot more like Cleaver, Shojin, just kind of like these Bruiser builds that are very powerful in the 1v1 against champions like Cassante. But now, some people do mix it up. Some people are still going kind of full lethality. Some people are doing, Cleaver lethality. Some people are doing Shojin and just kind of skipping the Cleaver. So I'll be interested to see what he does.
Well, Team Liquid is going to go ahead and start up yet another early Drake. Remember, in game number 1, the first Drake was Ocean, and they secured it about 8 minutes into the game. Here in game number 2, they once again get the high roll with the early Ocean Drake, and they get this one a minute and a half earlier. Yeah,
it's going to feel really, really nice. Strongest early dragon for laning, absolutely. And is going to help out, gives you that additional HP regen based on that missing health, so is really powerful.
CoreJJ just continuing to try to keep the pressure on Bvoy here. The Xayah Rakan duo power down here in the bottom lane. Again, this is not as oppressive as the Ashe Seraphine was in game number 1, but Yeon and Core are still looking comfortable.
They're looking really good. Honestly, if I'm playing against Neeko Ezreal, and I'm playing an early game Rakan, pre-6, and I'm even, I feel like I'm hard winning that lane. Like, you're going to feel really, really good about that, because Rakan is a weak early laner. Is Zenie in trouble?
Yep, Zenie again under pressure from Josedeodo as the Cataclysm arrives to make sure the shuffle doesn't do its job, but Contractz ready to save the day. Quid still commits the flash to guarantee that he gets the first blood, but Contractz makes it a 1-for-1.
I like the buffer there from Jose, able to immune it, and now Jose going to stop that wave from getting crashed. Shouldn't be able to kill Contractz, can just kind of walk it back to the tower. But does push him back, and will have that wave in a better spot there for Quid. And this was really nicely done on the engage. They want to punish the missing summoner. Always love when you see people looking to attack there. There was a lot of pings going over in that area, so I'm assuming that is Contractz pinging that Jose could be there, because there was a lot of caution pings over by the enemy Raptors, and so he did have an idea that he could be there. Zenie incredibly low. Quid decides, you know what, it's for first blood. I'm going to flash in. Yeah. Even if you trade the kill, that is going to be good for you. It was kind of like a Super Mario sound effect.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
Well, hey, at least he got his first blood.
Yeah.
At least he got his first blood. Contract's keeper's verdict was clutch there in being able to make sure that that was an even trade, because if you miss that, if you don't manage to knock the enemy jungler away, there's no way you can put on enough pressure to finish off the kill onto Quid anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And Contractz now going to be going back to base. He's going to be going a little bit of damage here. We pretty much always just see, one damage item into tank for Poppy these days. No one's doing anything too crazy. It's kind of just every champion that is played in the jungle is pretty much building the same thing these days. Yeah. You're going Sundered Sky first, and if you can't go Sundered Sky, you're not getting picked, buddy.
It's just like, all right, get back in the roster. We need Xin Zhao or Wukong or somebody like that here. But we do have the second set of objectives getting farmed up now. Team Liquid has Jose acquiring the grubs. First two are going to fall no contest. As you can see, Fudge showing up before Jose can confirm the third. But Jose is not really too worried about this. He doesn't have his smite. He already used it, but Fudge can't continue putting on any additional pressure, so Jose gets all 3 grubs plus the first Drake. Neutrals are purely favoring Team Liquid here in game number 2.
Yeah, see? If you wanted him to be scared, you should have picked a Garen, buddy. You know?
Yeah.
That Garen roaming down would have been spooky.
Ooh, nice double shuffle coming out from Zenie as they go to make the play onto Quid, knocking him low, knocking him down. Shopify Rebellion find their play.
That was a really clean combo. Flash, shuffle there, engage on bot side.
Yeah, CoreJJ fully committing here with a burst onto Xayah, and he dies before he can even unleash the Pop Blossom. Nice execution from Yeon and Core.
Yeah, really good CC chain there. They hit him with the quickness, and they get the feather pull through on him, and he just dies before the Pop Blossom goes off, as you said. Able to finish him off there. But yeah, that was clean from Shopify in the mid lane. Of course, they would have wanted Zenie to be able to get the kill, but he has the flash. Emperor's Divide knocks him back. Immediate stun there from Contractz, and they just CC chain Quid pretty much 100-0. They knock him down, are able to get that kill. So a lot more competitive here in this second game. Jose shows up, but this time Contractz is there and waiting. He gets the flash, shuffle straight back in, charge out of the air so you can stun into that Emperor's Divide. Both sides of the Q hit. Then there's the knockup with the Keeper's Verdict to get that. Would have loved Zenie to get the kill, but really nicely done there from Shopify.
Nice, well played. Good job, Zenie. Okay, J4 can still look you.
Yeah, I love combinations of Poppy with champions that can create their own terrain, because if you get that timing like you're talking about, it's just so deadly.
And you can see his career stats very good, but they're going for another fight.
Yeah, Xayah's dropped down to about 1/3 HP, a little bit lower. Jose and Core need some more damage, but Xayah's flashes away from the Dragon Strike, staying alive for now. Quid arrives as reinforcements here with the Realm Warp. Contractz still trying to make sure that Xayah doesn't drop. Meanwhile, Yeon versus Bvoy down here in the bottom lane, as Yeon does not want to allow the Ezreal to participate here in the fight. CoreJJ still looking, standing on top of a control ward. All right, Shopify is going to continue to retreat.
Yeah, they're going to continue to retreat. I'm a little bit confused why Contractz stayed around and takes so much damage, because I think that Xayah could have just walked out the side, and now maybe Bvoy is going to get threatened on this potential dive. We'll see if TL want to go for it, or if it is just going to be Bvoy having to back off. At the very least, they're going to be able to get some plates, deny some gold. Zenie was threatening the roam, but of course that was spotted out.
All right, Bvoy, this is such a frustrating experience.
It is, yeah.
You just have to sit there and watch the turret eat all of the farm. It's very difficult for him to even approach the wave. Xayah finally makes his way back into lane now to relieve a little bit of that pressure, and maybe Contractz can get something back on the CoreJJ, but no, Yeon always stays in range there for the battle dance. Nice angle from Fudge here with the all-out. Knocks Morgan underneath the turret, but Morgan just casually, calmly walks away from it.
Yep, going to be able to go to the skies, hammer form, jumps back to the minion wave, and does have the Ghost Blade as well, so just activates the Ghost Blade, hops back to the minion wave, able to get out of there, no problem. That was a really nice angle, though, from Fudge, so credit to him.
Speaking of nice angles, Zenie looking for another one here in the mid lane, but the flash out from Quid, and now the counter punch comes in from Josedeodo. Zenie down to 300 HP as Morgan arrives to guarantee the play. Quid barely holds on, but that's good enough, as Contractz and Fudge have to be careful now. This Jayce hurts a lot.
Yeah, Contractz peeled about as well as he could have, honestly. You know, he hits the Keeper's Verdict, knocks Jose away, then as Morgan comes in, tries to go hammer for him, he stuns him, you know, with the Steadfast Presence. He's trying to do everything he can to peel, but as soon as that flash came through from Quid and Jose is right there, there's no way out for Zenie, right? You know, he doesn't have his flash, he used it on the earlier play. You used your E to go forward, and now you don't have any way out.
Yeah. It's, we've all of a sudden found ourselves back in very dire straits for Shopify Rebellion. We were just talking about how, yeah, it's a better look for them here in game number 2. But the problem is, they're now behind just as much as they were in game number 1. It was that 1,500 gold lead 11 minutes into the game that had then ballooned to over 3K around 14, 15 minutes. And now, you know, it's still about a 2,000 gold lead 13.5 minutes in for Team Liquid. Shopify have got to make sure this doesn't go the way of game number 1. They've got to make sure that they dig in and don't allow this lead to get any further.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, you know, they have really good scaling. You know, if they can kind of hold on here, you have a super strong front line. You have very powerful late game carries in the Ezreal as well as the Azir. You have some strong range. So they have a lot of good tools here. But TL also have some strong tools on their side. Jose walked over that ward, so Zenie will just back it up. Because TL can play 1-3-1 very easily. And you can also trail on the 1-3-1 with the Jarvan or with Rakan, look for really explosive engages. And if Shopify do not have vision like they don't around this dragon, it's so tough to walk in. Because if you don't have eyes on the Jarvan, if you don't have eyes on the Rakan, and you try to face check, you are going to get instantly CC'd. There's no way for the Poppy to necessarily react when they're just flashing out of a brush.
Well, Team Liquid still with control over the entire map right now. Zenie Goes in for the swoop onto Quid, and he finds it. Contractz right behind him with the slam into the wall. This 1-2 punch. Shopify is landing time and again.
Yeah, I love that. Just the rinse and repeat. They go the first time it works. They go the second time it gets flashed. Go again. Just go right back at him. And that was really well played by Zenie. That was the very edge of the hitbox, it felt like. I wasn't sure if he was in range or not, but that's one of those things, and we saw his career stats on it. When you have extreme comfort on a champion, you can know those slim margins.
Josedeodo thinking about a potential dragon still here, jumps over the wall into the pit, but no, it's secured by Bvoy of all people, and now Josedeodo throws his life away in the process. Shopify Rebellion are bouncing back in the mid game.
That was pretty ill-advised, I gotta say. You know, going for the steal in that position without Quid there, it feels like it's very likely to be a one-way trip no matter what.
Yeah, now Fudge might be on a one-way trip of his own. Tries to go all out here in the 1v1 against Morgan, but the Jayce has already secured the tier 1 turret. There's nowhere for Fudge to go except all the way home in a body bag. Quid shows up to collect the paycheck.
Nice movement there from Morgan and showcasing the value of that Ghost Blade, because Fudge goes all out, and I thought it actually could be relatively close. First in Tofo Strike, gets sidestepped. Pathmaker gets sidestepped. Second in Tofo Strike gets sidestepped as well. He didn't hit a single ability after he went all out. And when you are missing all those abilities, when Morgan is sidestepping, juking back and forth, it is very tough. And now he picks up Swifty Boots. So, you know, really emphasizing the move speed here and just looking to straight up just avoid these abilities, just skill checking his opponents.
Yeah, you love to see it. He's up 1,500 gold, really showcasing that this, I'm going to slam blind Jayce in the first half of the draft can work out if you've got the skills to back it up. Team Liquid starting up the Rift Herald now, but they will not be able to complete this objective before Shopify makes their way onto the scene. But the entire time, it just means that Team Liquid can use their split pushing power, use that Jayce in the side lane to secure another tier 1 turret, this time in the bottom side.
Yeah, the hope for SR is definitely mid-jungle, as Jose trying to get some space here.
Yeah, Jose does manage to buffer the EQ, get away from Zenie before the Azir can try to find yet another shuffle play. As there's CoreJJ's engaged with the Grand Entrance, isn't going to get a whole lot. Core chunked down to 1/3 HP, but Morgan has joined back up with the rest of Team Liquid. So even though Core is hurt, even though they no longer have the Rakan flash, they do still have the ultimate. But Team Liquid don't want to overcommit. They don't want to make a blunder here, potentially throw away the 2,500 gold lead they've earned so far.
Yeah, it was a trade of flashes, but like you called out, Core got chunked and Zenie stayed full health. So that is going to make it very difficult for them to actually challenge here. But TL are still in the area and are looking to do just that.
Yep. Keep your eyes on Josedeodo here, off to the side. Herald's down to about 5,000 HP. They eject Morgan from the fight here with the Keeper's Verdict, but Josedeodo jumping in over the wall. Zenie is low, but he isn't going to fall here just yet. Josedeodo dies to Bvoy. Zenie still barely hanging on by the accelerated shock blast. Can't finish him off. Pop Blossom from Seos finds 3. Nice ulti coming out from the Shopify support to guarantee they're going to win this fight. Now Yeon and Morgan have to try to kite this one out, but Fudge hits the Intofo strikes on that one. Contractz right behind him. Shopify Rebellion got exactly what they needed. Azir, this game is back to dead even.
Beautiful fight there from Shopify Rebellion. Quid, way overcommitted, tried to take down Zenie. He was hitting Zenie over the wall. Look at Quid on the bottom of your screen there. Gets his spell flux down, and he says, all right, Zenie is so low. He has no shift. He has no flash. This is where I can go in and try to finish him off. So he flashes over, but he's not in range. He's not in range of Zenie. He can't actually finish him. Zenie lives with sub 100 health. And look at this, the knockback from Fudge here onto Morgan, and then Contractz insta-flash stuns him. Great coordination there from Shopify throughout the fight. The ultimate, the Pop Blossom from Sales was great as well. We got to go back to live as they are skirmishing. Looks like that won't result in anything, but Zenie survives with the narrowest of margins. Contractz is 4-0-4, and he is picking up where he left off last week.
Yeah.
Yes, they got dominated in game number 1, but Contractz was great in their series against Dignitas, went deathless in that series. He was smoking Dignitas, and when Contractz is at his best, he can go toe-to-toe with the very best junglers in the league. This guy, at his best, is a force to be reckoned with. And that is kind of the point of this roster change, was they were supposed to be bringing in, you know, this stud in the mid lane, Zenie, who's going to be this really powerful import, pair him up with Contractz, who's going to be the guy to create action, you know, buy space for Zenie to have success, who's supposed to be kind of your big late game threat alongside Bvoy. And that was kind of the thought process. It didn't work out at all in lock-in, but you're seeing some of that here in Spring Split. Zenie already on 2 completed items, goes for the Shadow Flame there as the second item, so quite a bit of spell pen already picked up because he has the upgraded Sork boots, didn't go for defensive boots at all, and is going to be pumping out the damage if he is left untouched.
Speaking of that damage, though, Muramana completed, fully evolved for Morgan's Jayce, so those shock blasts are going to tear through health bars if he hits his shots. Shopify is still up. A little bit over 1,000 gold now with that tier 1 turret taken down in the mid lane thanks to the Rift Herald. As Fudge finds himself under pressure here in the top side. Gets back close enough to the tier 2 turret to try to make some kind of an outplay. Goes all out but finds himself further away from that protective structure, and Josedeodo knocks him over. And now it's just more money flowing back into Morgan's pockets.
Yep, now he's going to be uncontested on that tier 2. Look where Jose is as well. Jose's saying, you know what? Someone might actually walk up to try to defend this from mid lane, so he's standing behind the tower there, anticipating that, but instead it will just be a trade. But TL are trying to start a Baron. They want to try to go for Baron, knowing that they have the man advantage right now. Baron at 20 minutes is risky from this game state, though, and it is going to get spotted.
Yep. True Shot Barrage flies right on through, finds the Baron before any meaningful damage is done to it. So Team Liquid's going to have to stop there. I like the fact that they looked for that.
Me
They're
too.
thinking, okay, we're up here topside. We know that you can't do anything about it. The natural play is probably just to try to take the Dragon as a consolation prize. What if they're not paying attention?
Exactly. I mean, it's a pretty low risk, high reward play, right? You know, if they stuck on it, then you're trolling. You're going to get wiped.
Right,
but,
yeah. If the True Shot Barrage hits you and you stand there, like...
But what if we stay? They'll never expect this. Oh, man. We're all playing fantasy this year, and let me just say, top lane is so funny because you look at a game like this and you're like, yes, I have Morgan on my fantasy. I'm going to get so many points. You know, he's dominating the game. He's crushing through the top lane. He's so powerful. And then you look at your fantasy and he's got you about like 3.8 points so far, you know, 2 assists. Top laners are just not even involved, man. You need to start giving top laners fantasy points just like for gold. If you get a big gold lead, that counts.
Yeah, just be like, all right, yeah, he's got 2,000 gold up on his opponent, bro.
That's a pentakill for top lane.
Yeah, might as well be. I mean, hey, a kill on average in League of Legends is worth 300. If you're up 2,000, that's more than a pentakill. That's almost a septakill or something. I think that's the right prefix.
There you go.
Well,
get an Akshan in there, they res their team, you kill them again.
Just bring everybody back. Well, unfortunately, they will not be able to bring back that tier 1 turret there in the mid lane. So the match is going to become more and more dangerous here for Shopify as Zenie is the target. Realm Warp arrives. Defensive ulti, but the Emperor's Divide might not be able to keep him alive long enough. Josedeodo is going to full commit for this one too. Sundisk puts a lot of damage into the Ryze, so Quid might just fall. All out from Fudge guarantees it. 1-for-1 trade with the mid laners, both dropping up here, but we aren't done yet. Fudge is eating so much damage from Yeon's feathers, he has to flash out just to survive.
Yeah, has to run away there. Zenie did a good job buying time. They got to keep retreating, though, because Morgan is here now as well. Zenie bought a lot of time there with the Emperor's Divide, with the Flash, really tried to just delay the maximum, summons up the Sundisk, you know, really try to put that pressure on. It allowed Contractz and Fudge to come in to trade that kill back. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of flashes used there from Shopify. Zenie sees the Realm Warp coming in, knows he's going to be in trouble. Instant disengage there onto Core, flashes away from that grand entrance. Then it's a flash in from Jose to try to seal the deal. But Quid got CC'd under that Sundisk for so long. Then the knockout comes through, allows Fudge to get in behind him. So that was well played. But the problem here was Bvoy was not around at all during that time, and Yeon was. So Yeon was pumping the damage out, you know, as you had called out, and that just meant you can't really go for the extended play.
Well, we've still got ourselves a very close game state compared to what we saw in game number 1, right? Compared to a game...
The game was basically over at this point in game number 1.
Right, yeah. I mean, it ended at 24 something on the clock with 25 kills for TL. This time around, yes, it's still a very marginal gold lead for Team Liquid, but Shopify's keeping it much closer. They're able to find ways to guarantee that Team Liquid has consequences for their actions, right? Like you're getting the kill back in topside. You're not just letting them get everything for free. Team Liquid now, we'll see how they want to continue playing this one. They are posturing towards the bottom side of this mid lane stare down we have here. Contractz with the Dead Man's Plate fully completed now with the Poppy. I really like this item on Poppy because so much of the character is getting the angles that you need for the wall tackles, and that just gives you that extra little bit of mobility to guarantee the stun really is a stun.
Yep, completely agree, and it's also 3 physical damage dealers over on the side for TL. Jose has gotten the Black Cleaver, so Morgan does not have to. Did go for more of that kind of pure glass cannon style in this game. Has gone for a Last Whisper third. And Zenie was hanging around mid lane, just waiting to see if anything was going to pop off. But as soon as he saw it was not, he goes back to base, grabs a Seeker, pushes up the wave. Probably going to grab the blue buff for himself, and then we're going to kind of repeat this dance over in the mid lane. While these two teams are just trying to play for vision around the Baron, that is the objective that everyone is kind of focused on right now. You know, even if you are Shopify and you want to play towards Soul, which they probably do, you still at least need to have some vision in the Baron area to make sure that you're not going to give that away for free.
And honestly, Shopify has been doing a really good job focusing on Quid in this second game. They have 9 kills, and 5 of them are on Quid specifically. He's 3-5-1 here on the Ryze. And Team Liquid has also made a lot of attempts at Zenie. I think Shopify have just pulled off their mid lane gambits better, and since both mid laners now have the Seeker's arm guard, I'm really going to be seeing who gets the greater value in the next team fight, because I feel like both of those arm guards are getting broken. Yeah,
they are going to be really powerful. Both junglers missing flash. It is just that one extra flash for Morgan. TL starting up this Baron.
Yeah, it looks like it's a bit of a bait, though, because now they're immediately going to turn towards Shopify. CoreJJ and Yeon both lose a little bit of HP. There, that was a beautiful true shot barrage from Bvoy to knock Yeon down below half HP, and CoreJJ in a similar spot.
Yeah, now they're just spam pinging onto that dragon. They know, you know what, that's enough of a chunk. TL cannot go back to the Baron. There's just no shot. So they're going to be able to go over here. Contractz starting up this dragon. This would bring them to Soul Point.
Yeah.
Probably not going to kill this the fastest, but Zenie will be able to get over there and help him out. TL, though, are just pinging right back onto the Baron. They want to try this one more time. Yeon had the red buff, so he was healing up, and we'll see. I don't think Shopify know. They're just kind of assuming that they wouldn't try it again. I think they're giving the Baron.
Assumptions are a very dangerous game in League of Legends. You can finally see some pings coming out from Shopify. They know that this could be happening, but they know way too late. And yeah, it's Soul Point for Shopify, but a free Baron at 26 minutes feels so good for TL.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking as well for Shopify. At the very least, you know, it's not like there's a dragon on the map that they can grab and deny that. You can kind of try to just sit back and wave clear. But this is exactly what TL needs. Cyrilda's now done for Morgan off the back of that. They want to play 1-3-1. Now you give the 1-3-1 team Baron buff as well, which is going to make it really, really difficult. Ezreal, not great wave clear. Azir has pretty strong wave clear, but that's pretty much it as far as being able to clear out these waves quickly is concerned. So it's going to be difficult for Shopify, and Azir is just trying to hard shove the top side to get that wave moving in the right direction. Now he's going to retreat back to base, and they're going to try to just stall out this Baron as much as they can.
All right, Shopify, how well can you hold on? You've got to make sure that you don't lose anything more than what's necessary. You've still got tier 2 turrets standing in mid and bottom, but Team Liquid is looking to fix that situation pretty quickly. It's Quid, Yeon, and CoreJJ with pressure in mid. Yeon and Core trying to rotate down into the bottom side, but Contractz immediately with the tackle over the wall, looking for the kill here onto Yeon. They force the Xayah, but it's Xayah with a massive pop blossom. Yeon is already down. Fudge goes all out, and CoreJJ and Josedeodo both fall. Once again, right when they need it most, it's Shopify Rebellion with the perfect angle, and they kill 4.
Damn, Contractz had so much confidence. Look at this. Contractz flashes in, insta-stun on Yeon, double knock-up, and then Zenie is hitting them over the wall. Seos had such good timing. Hits the pop blossom, goes back into the pit to try to get out of the vision. Not sure if he did or not, but then flash over the wall, pops the rocket bell, gets in. Zenie's back to live. He's fighting.
Yeah, Zenie versus Morgan in the live as Morgan tries to outplay it. One more auto attack and he gets it. But now he's got to try to escape from Seos and Fudge. The Cassante is not very fast. It's hard to close the gap onto this Ghost Blade. Jayce, accelerated shock blast, finds Seos, and Morgan not only gets the kill, he gets away, he dodges the true shot barrage, and he's keeping Team Liquid in this.
His 5th fantasy point now for that play.
But the problem is, you probably won't get it because it's just like, well, you didn't die, but that's not worth the point.
Yeah, killed off Zenie though. Nicely done to him. Was a trade of flashes there as well between those Soul laners, and he gets a shutdown. The 700 gold shutdown for Morgan, who is already really, really strong, and he's just going even more lethality. So we talked about this option. You know, you correctly pointed out that hey, it's going to be tough if you have to shoot those shock blasts through Fudge and Contractz, but if you can find an angle from the side where you're hitting one of these squishy characters, sometimes one shock blast to start the fight on a character like Azir means Azir can't really take the fight.
Right. I mean, this is going to do so much damage when he does land these. And honestly, I feel like Morgan is doing a lot of heavy lifting here in this second game. The pressure that this Jayce is exerting in the sides makes it hard for Shopify to utilize any of the momentum that they've got from some of these big team fight wins that we've seen them pull out.
Yeah, and it's very costly death. You know, Zenie gets shut down, loses his flash. You know, that is a big playmaking tool for the Azir. I would argue the Azir flash is probably a lot more important at this point than the Jayce flash, though of course, you know, that is still valuable. But really nicely done there from Morgan, who has been just such a pressure point for Liquid. You know, we saw Liquid when they went up against Lion. Lion, their whole plan was kind of just shutting down Morgan. They believed that Morgan was the guy to stop. You know, they brought out these ranged top laners, they crafted their whole plan. And, you know, so they clearly had a lot of respect for Morgan and what he was doing, and I think Morgan has been very, very impressive as a laner for TL. And that is why people, you know, are still excited about TL and the ability of this team, because it just feels like when you look at the players as individuals, they all have the ability to be, you know, top in class kind of thing, right? And so the question is, can they bring it all together? Because Shopify here, who's a team that is powering much lower than them, is looking very, very even in this game. You know, they are on Soul Point here. They are looking really competitive, and they're turning in a great game.
And I think so much of this is going to come down to this Dragon fight here in about 45 seconds, right? If Shopify locks in the Dragon Soul, that's going to mean a whole lot. Especially, Chemtech Soul always usually catches some flack for not being as strong as the other ones. But when you have some characters that are naturally slippery to catch, difficult to kill, Cassante and Poppy can both be such a big pain that extra bonus that you're getting from the Chemtech can really turn it from annoying into a total nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you're not getting one shot, you get a lot out of the durability, right? You know, as you get lower. So definitely these tanky champions, a lot easier to get value from it. Contractz is here and has been playing an incredible game. Contractz still deathless on his team and has been starting off a lot of fights. Jose has been trying to find an angle here, has been walking around, clearing out vision, and he's covering for Morgan to push. TL are trying to draw people over to Morgan. If no one responds, it's going to be a bit difficult.
Okay, Morgan rotating down to the Dragon fight now, though. Shopify starting to DPS it, but it's not dropping particularly quickly. Quid loses 1/3 of his HP here at the very onset of things. Xayah goes in for the two-man pop blossom, but it's not a whole lot just yet. The burst onto Zenie nearly kills him instantly. Xayah tries to get away, but Morgan's already found the kill. The Emperor's Divide accomplishes very little. Team Liquid looking for more damage as Morgan continues chasing forward. Fudge can't do anything to the back line. Yes, they lost Quid, but they got everything else. Now Contractz wants to turn the fight back around as Yeon is forced up into the air yet again. And Contractz goes unstoppable, the hero here for Shopify. But Morgan comes around from behind with another big accelerated shock blast. As Contractz is the last one standing in a green jersey. They'll knock him out as well. It's the Morgan show, and Shopify Rebellion unfortunately have front row seats.
Yeah, Xayah hits a double root, gets the pop blossom in onto Morgan, but the problem is no one can get over there. And look at this engage from CoreJJ. Zenie gets the Zonias off, but he gets the Zonias off at 100 HP or thereabouts, and then Quid is able to pop into his stasis to immune the Emperor's Divide. Bvoy got pushed out by Morgan. This is a great re-engage from Contractz, though. Finds the angle to get back in on Yeon. They knock him down, which makes it a little bit closer. But then Morgan is back. Another shock blast gets him another kill. This guy on the Jayce is ridiculously strong at this point. Great counter engage from Core, and really nice stuff here from Morgan, who is just on one. He is a 4.5K.
Yeah, that is totally insane. He's nearly full build. He's got his Serpent's Fang completed now. The Sorelda's already got completed a while ago. BF Sword in the inventory, working on the last item. The Baron is already down to half HP. CoreJJ waiting in the wings for if Shopify tries to fly in and do something. Stolen away by Bvoy.
Oh no, Jose, that is not supposed to happen in this season, man.
Oh no.
It used to be more of a flip sometimes in the old days. To be fair, a lot of people were hitting that, you know. It might have died quick, but Smite does a lot of damage these days, and you're not supposed to be losing it. Let's see, 1,700. Oh, he just kind of smited late. It went to 1,700, and then it went to 1,000, then went to 500.
Yeah, did he even smite?
No, he never used smite.
Yeah, sometimes I know that the spectator UI can have dishonest cooldown timers, but yeah, I didn't even see the smite come down.
He didn't use it, so it was a bit slow there. Maybe there was something going on. Like he's like, okay, guys, stop hitting it. I'll finish it, and then they didn't or something, but I mean, either way, that's one you got to hit. That's one you got to hit.
That's a blunder for sure. So
yeah.
Shopify are going to wipe the sweat off their brow a little bit on that one. This
Thanks,
does
Bvoy.
buy them some time, does help them out. We'll see what they can possibly earn with it, because the problem is that 5,000 gold lead Jayce is marching down the bottom lane, and nobody wants to even be on the same screen as this guy.
Yep. But if he's not there, then you know what? It's actually Shopify with the gold lead. Morgan now has the GA, so that is a big buy for him. It's Shopify on the march with that stolen Baron, trying to put the pressure on to TL here.
All right, first Shock Blast doesn't collide with anybody on the Rebellion, as Shopify want to continue using this Baron pressure. They've got the double Baron cannon minions sieging the tier 3 turret here in the top lane. Those are finally going to get cleared out. Fudge providing a second point of pressure over in mid as Morgan jumps in after the Cassante here. Does get knocked back. Morgan might just get ripped through the wall. The all-out finds the Jayce, but Fudge loses a lot of HP in the process. Sunday's still standing here in the top lane, so Team Liquid doesn't want to overcommit chasing after Shopify.
What Fudge was trying to do there was get the right angle to pull him over the wall to where Contractz was on the side, but he didn't quite get the angle right, so ends up pulling him into that wolf pit. And as a result, Contractz didn't have his flash. He tried to hex slash over to try to help him out, but it was obviously too late. And now Zenie and Bvoy may be caught. They're going to try to TP back in and defend it. Yep. And it looks like that will be enough to stop the play. But yeah, good attempt there from Fudge. Of course, looks silly when you don't get the right angle. But if he hit that angle correctly, hey, that is exactly, that is the best target to go for. And remember, spring finals, we are going to the Mullet Arena June 13th, 14th. This is going to be tickets on sale next week, I believe. So
yeah.
Scan the QR code and find out some more info about it.
Well, the next thing I want to find some info about is Dragon Fight Chapter number 6, because we've got that here 90 seconds from now. The last one was the big win there for Team Liquid. Morgan, again, flexing those muscles, being the carry, but it's still Shopify on sole point. If they can get this Dragon, it's still a big power spike for them. Team Liquid does not have priority over the bottom side river right now. Shopify doing a good job maintaining control of that, and that's just another advantage that you get for stealing the Baron.
Yep, exactly. Going to be able to control that space, looking for this soul, and it's going to be up to TL to try to stop them. Shock Blast does a lot, but Bvoy had that Bloodthirster shield, has a ton of lifesteal, so you know, if he has access to a wave, he is kind of chilling at this point, unless you can hit Shock Blast after Shock Blast on him. And Core is on a deep flank. He's trying to get way behind them here. But this is always risky if you get spotted. Sales is not with them right now, though, so Shopify for now only have the 4 members, and Core now does reveal himself.
Yep, Core stepping out of the fog of war, gets spotted out. Sayo seeing if there's an opportunity to punish the Team Liquid support, but no. Core can manage to exfiltrate in time. Now Fudge going to check into the brush. CoreJJ goes in for the quickness, immediately finds the back line. Tons of pressure here on the Contractz already. Sayos wants to pop blossom, but he's forced into the stasis. Zenie is already down. It's a disaster for Shopify. Team Liquid find exactly the angle. CoreJJ instantly engages. It's a 3-0, and TL's looking to end the game.
Zenie was dead before it even started. Even with the stasis going off, that explosive engage from TL, they fully commit, and that should seal the deal.
Yeah, I don't really know how you stop this at this point. Bvoy's going to do whatever he can to try to slow it down, but Team Liquid have made their way onto the Nexus turrets, and those will both crumble before I can even finish my sentence. Sayos falls here too. Josedeodo just flashing over the wall to keep Bvoy busy, as Morgan and Quid will pad their stats with a little bit of extra minion kills. They're just making it painful at this point. It was a much closer game, but it's still a Team Liquid victory. 2-0. They'll take out Shopify Rebellion.
Dominant game 1, competitive game 2. But what a performance from Morgan. He was looking unstoppable on the Jayce.